The auto industry just got rocked. Jeep has dropped a bombshell that nobody saw coming, and the entire market is scrambling to make sense of it. This isn't just another model refresh or a new trim package. We're talking about a move that has the potential to shift the balance of power in the SUV and EV game. Jeep, a brand that built its legacy on rugged off-roaders and tough utility vehicles, has just made a statement that hits right at the heart of the competition. For decades, Jeep was known for its Wranglers climbing mountains and Cherokees dominating trails, but now it's making a play that goes way beyond dirt roads and adventure seekers. What Jeep has unveiled signals a massive transformation, not only for the brand itself, but for the way automakers are going to approach the future of driving. Think about it, the industry is in a race to electrify, to innovate, to stay relevant, and Jeep has been quietly preparing to drop a hammer that just landed on the table. This isn't a rumor mill story. This is the kind of announcement that makes investors, rivals, and drivers stop and take notice. For years, critics said Jeep was falling behind in the EV race, that they were too slow to modernize while companies like Tesla and Rivian grabbed headlines. But here's the twist: Jeep just pulled back the curtain on a strategy that shows they weren't asleep. They were loading the slingshot, and now they're aiming straight at the giants of the industry. Imagine a Jeep that keeps its rugged DNA, its off-road dominance, but delivers it with cutting-edge electric performance, futuristic design, and technology that makes competitors sweat. That's what we're looking at right now. Jeep isn't just releasing a vehicle, they're planting a flag in the future of mobility, and the shockwaves are already being felt across the market. Because here's the kicker: Jeep didn't just reveal a single EV concept, they laid out a roadmap, a vision that ties together electrification, software-driven features, and an aggressive global expansion. They're not just trying to keep up, they're trying to leapfrog the competition entirely, and the timing could not be more perfect. Ford is battling EV losses, GM is facing delays, Tesla's grip is loosening, and here comes Jeep with a play that feels bold, calculated, and disruptive. And let's talk about what makes this moment so explosive. Jeep didn't just tease us with vague promises, they showed us metal, wheels, and batteries in motion. We're looking at vehicles like the Jeep Recon, a fully electric off-roader designed to channel the spirit of the Wrangler but built from the ground up to be all-electric. This isn't some watered-down crossover. It's engineered for trails, with removable doors, rugged capability, and instant EV torque that could change the off-road experience forever. That alone is enough to shake the segment, but Jeep didn't stop there. Then there's the Wagoneer S, a sleek, luxury-focused EV SUV that's aiming directly at the premium market. We're talking about 600 horsepower, lightning-fast acceleration, and a design language that screams futuristic confidence. This is Jeep saying, we're not just an off-road brand, we're ready to compete with Tesla's Model X and even push into territory dominated by Land Rover and BMW. That's a bold move, and it signals a strategy that's far bigger than just selling trucks. It's about redefining what Jeep stands for on a global scale. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Jeep is tying these launches to a larger electrification roadmap. They're promising multiple fully electric models by the middle of the decade, covering everything from rugged off-roaders to everyday family haulers. That means Jeep isn't just dropping one or two halo cars. They're building an entire lineup that could hit every part of the SUV market. The message is clear. Jeep is not here to play catch-up, they're here to dominate. But the ripple effect doesn't stop with new models. Investors are already buzzing because this move puts Stellantis, Jeep's parent company, into a prime position in the EV wars. Remember, Stellantis controls brands like Dodge, Chrysler, Ram, and Fiat. If Jeep's electrification strategy hits, it could accelerate innovation across the entire portfolio, and that has Wall Street watching closely, because what Jeep is doing today could set the tone for how Stellantis challenges the likes of GM, Ford, and even Toyota tomorrow. Now let's zoom out and think about how the competition is reacting. Because here's the thing, when Jeep makes a move this massive, it doesn't just shift their own lane, it forces everyone else to slam the brakes and rethink their strategies. Tesla, for example, has long been untouchable in the EV SUV segment, but now they're staring down the barrel of a Jeep that combines brand loyalty, rugged identity, and electrification. That's a cocktail Tesla doesn't want to compete with, because let's be real, no Tesla driver is taking their Model Y or Model X deep into the wilderness. Jeep has that off-road credibility locked down, and now they're electrifying it. Ford? Well, the Bronco was their big comeback story, a direct shot at Jeep's Wrangler. But here's the twist. While Ford has been pushing the Bronco hard, they haven't yet delivered a fully electric version. Jeep's Recon EV could leapfrog Ford before they even get a chance to step into that arena. And if Jeep beats them to it, the Bronco could go from comeback king to playing catch-up overnight. GM? They've been hyping up the Hummer EV, positioning it as a halo vehicle for electrified toughness. But the Hummer EV is huge, it's expensive, and it's not exactly practical for the average driver. Jeep, on the other hand, is offering a range of EVs from trail-ready beast to luxury SUVs that could undercut GM not just on price but on scale and versatility. That's a market squeeze GM doesn't want to deal with. And here's the domino effect: other brands that aren't even in direct competition with Jeep are going to feel this too. Toyota has been cautious in its EV rollout, banking on hybrids for the long haul. But if Jeep proves that electrified SUVs can capture both rugged adventurers and luxury buyers, Toyota's slow play could suddenly look like hesitation. Same goes for Honda, same goes for Nissan. Jeep's boldness just raised the stakes for everyone, and let's not forget the global stage. Jeep isn't just an American brand anymore. They're pushing hard into Europe, Asia, and other markets where electrification isn't just a trend, it's a requirement. By putting EVs at the front of their lineup, Jeep positions itself as a serious global contender, not just a US off-road icon. That's going to sting for competitors who thought they had those markets locked down. But here's where it gets really exciting, because consumer reaction is the real test here. Jeep loyalists are some of the most passionate drivers in the world. They buy into the brand not just for the vehicle, but for the lifestyle. The Wrangler crowd, the trail riders, the people who wave at each other when they pass on the road, these are folks who live and breathe Jeep. And for years, they've been skeptical about EVs. They've asked, can an electric Jeep really handle Moab? Can it ford rivers? Can it crawl over rocks with the same grit as a gas-powered beast? Now Jeep is answering those questions head-on. They're promising the Recon EV will not just match but outperform the traditional off-road machines. Instant torque for crawling, regenerative braking for downhill control, and advanced terrain management systems powered by software updates. It's a mix of tradition and tech that could finally convince even the most die-hard purists that electrification doesn't mean compromise, it means evolution. And then you have the other side of the consumer base, new buyers who may have never considered Jeep before. These are the people who look at Tesla, Rivian, or even Polestar because they want futuristic tech, quiet rides, and zero emissions. For them, the Wagoneer S is the hook. It's not about mud and trails, it's about luxury, performance, and a badge that carries global recognition. If Jeep nails the execution, they won't just be keeping their loyal fan base, they'll be expanding it into entirely new demographics. What's fascinating is that Jeep seems to be threading the needle perfectly. Ruggedness for the loyalists, sleek sophistication for the newcomers, and electrification to satisfy the global regulatory push. And consumers are already talking, forums are buzzing, pre-order lists are forming, and social media is filled with debates. Some are hyped, some are skeptical, but one thing is certain, Jeep has everyone's attention, and attention in today's auto market is priceless, because it leads to something even more powerful: brand power. See, this isn't just about rolling out a few shiny new EVs, it's about Jeep rewriting its image for the next generation. For decades, Jeep has been shorthand for rugged freedom, adventure, and durability. Now they're working to fuse that legacy with cutting-edge technology and sustainability. That combination isn't just attractive, it's magnetic. If Jeep pulls this off, they're not just selling vehicles, they're selling the idea that you can have both, the adventure lifestyle and the future-forward tech edge. This is where market dominance comes into play. Think about how Tesla built its empire, not just with cars, but with an identity, a culture, a movement. Jeep already has a culture baked in, one that spans across generations, from World War II heritage all the way to modern overlanders. By electrifying that culture, they could create something no competitor can easily copy. Tesla doesn't have the decades of rugged credibility. Ford doesn't have the global adventure icon status. Jeep is playing from a position of strength. And Stellantis, Jeep's parent company, knows it. They're investing billions into EV platforms, battery plants, and software ecosystems designed to support this rollout. Because promises are one thing, but in today's auto market, execution is everything. Jeep is stepping up with some ambitious numbers that have people leaning in. For starters, the Wagoneer S is being touted with a targeted range of around 400 miles on a single charge. That's right up there with Tesla's longest-range SUVs, but with the added muscle of 600 horsepower under the hood. Combine that with Jeep's heritage for capability, and suddenly this isn't just another EV, it's a statement piece designed to silence doubters. On the off-road side, the Recon is built to prove that electrification doesn't mean limitation. Jeep is promising trail-rated toughness powered by electric drivetrains, tuned for instant torque delivery. That means climbing over rocks, scaling steep grades, and powering through mud with precision that gas engines simply can't match. They're also emphasizing features like one-pedal driving for trail control, advanced traction management, and over-the-air software upgrades that actually evolve the vehicle's capability over time. Think about that, your Jeep could literally get better the longer you own it. Then there's the charging infrastructure piece. Jeep knows range and power mean nothing if drivers can't charge quickly and conveniently. That's why Stellantis is rolling out partnerships to expand charging networks, ensuring Jeep EV owners don't feel stranded in a world still dominated by gas stations. We're talking ultra-fast DC chargers capable of adding hundreds of miles in under 20 minutes, strategically placed along highways and cities and even near popular adventure destinations. Jeep wants to make sure that whether you're driving to work or driving into the wild, charging won't hold you back. And on top of that, there's the software side. Jeep's new EVs are expected to integrate next-gen infotainment systems, AI-powered navigation, and even predictive charging management that plans your routes around available stations. It's not just about the drive anymore, it's about the experience, from the second you get into the moment you plug in. They're turning the Jeep lifestyle into a connected ecosystem, one that ties adventure with convenience, tradition with innovation. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Delivering on all of this isn't just about hype, it's about overcoming some of the toughest challenges in the industry, and those challenges are very real. The first big hurdle is cost. EV technology is still expensive, especially when you're talking about large batteries capable of delivering 300-400 miles of range. If Jeep prices these vehicles too high, they risk alienating both loyal fans who've supported the brand for years and new buyers who are cross-shopping against Tesla, Ford, and Hyundai. Striking the balance between affordability and profit margin will be critical, and it's easier said than done in today's volatile market. Then there's production. The auto industry has been battered by supply chain issues, semiconductor shortages, raw material bottlenecks, and the rising costs of lithium, nickel, and cobalt. For Jeep to roll out multiple EVs at scale, they'll need a rock-solid supply chain, and any disruption could push back launch dates, frustrate customers, and give competitors a chance to catch up. Execution here isn't optional, it's survival. Consumer skepticism is another mountain to climb. Hardcore Jeep drivers might be intrigued by the Recon EV, but convincing them to trust an electric motor over the rumble of a gas-powered engine? That's going to take proof. Proof that the range holds up in extreme weather. Proof that the battery can handle long off-road trips. Proof that charging is actually practical in remote areas. Jeep has to win over these skeptics not with marketing, but with real-world performance that leaves no room for doubt. And let's not forget global regulations. Markets like Europe are tightening emission standards rapidly, while the US is still fragmented with varying state policies. Jeep needs to juggle all of that while keeping production efficient and costs contained. One misstep could derail the momentum they've worked so hard to build. But here's the flip side. These challenges, if tackled head-on, could actually make Jeep stronger. If they crack the code on affordability, if they secure long-term battery supply chains, and if they prove to the world that an electric Jeep can conquer trails as easily as it conquers highways, they won't just be participating in the EV race, they'll be leading it. And that's exactly why so many eyes are locked on Jeep right now. The truth is, every risk Jeep faces also opens the door to an opportunity that could reshape the brand's future. Take affordability, for example. If Jeep figures out how to deliver a capable long-range EV at a competitive price, they won't just lure in traditional Jeep buyers, they'll pull in an entirely new wave of customers who've been priced out of the EV market so far. If Stellantis locks in reliable partnerships for batteries and rare earth materials, Jeep could secure stability while rivals are still scrambling. That kind of foresight doesn't just protect production, it creates leverage. Jeep could move vehicles faster, fill orders sooner, and establish itself as the brand that delivers when others are stuck with wait lists. And consumer skepticism, yes, it's a hurdle, but it's also a chance for Jeep to prove its worth in spectacular fashion. Imagine Jeep hosting live demonstrations of the Recon EV tackling iconic trails, streaming those moments across social media, showing real-time torque, silent climbs, and zero-emissions adventure. That's not just marketing, that's myth-making. If Jeep pulls that off, skeptics won't just convert, they'll evangelize. Even regulatory pressure could turn into a competitive edge. By leaning fully into electrification, Jeep positions itself ahead of the curve, ready for markets like Europe where combustion engines are being phased out. While other brands play catch-up, Jeep could be the one already established, already trusted, and already scaling. And this is where the ripple effect begins. Because Jeep's bold push doesn't just affect its own lineup, it shakes the entire auto ecosystem. Dealerships are preparing to adjust their sales strategies, aftermarket companies are eyeing opportunities to build accessories for electric Jeeps, and competitors are being forced to accelerate their timelines. Jeep has lit a fire under the industry, and no one wants to be the brand left standing still while Jeep charges forward. But what really makes this bombshell hit hard is the cultural shift it's about to unleash. This isn't just Jeep throwing out a prototype to get headlines, it's a coordinated push backed by serious infrastructure. We're talking multi-billion-dollar battery partnerships, fast-charging networks being expanded across North America and Europe, and digital ecosystems that tie vehicles to apps, over-the-air updates, and even subscription-based features. Jeep isn't just launching cars, they're building an entire ecosystem. That's why analysts are saying this could be a once-in-a-generation shift. If Jeep captures both the adventure market and the mainstream EV crowd, they won't just eat into Tesla, Ford, and GM's market share, they could redefine the SUV space entirely, and once that momentum builds, it's nearly impossible to stop. Consumers talk, social media amplifies, and suddenly Jeep becomes the it brand for both off-road diehards and city dwellers looking for the next cool electric ride. But here's the wild part, this transformation hinges on more than hype. It comes down to execution, and that's where Jeep is making some bold promises. Because promises are easy to make, but the real question is, can Jeep deliver? Let's break down the execution. Jeep says its upcoming EVs will pack serious range north of 400 miles on a charge for the Wagoneer S, which instantly puts it in competition with Tesla's best. The Recon is being designed with trail-ready charging strategies, including portable power options and partnerships to expand charging infrastructure near adventure destinations. That's clever because what's the biggest fear of taking an EV off-road? Running out of juice in the middle of nowhere. Jeep is building answers for that fear right into the ownership experience. On top of that, performance is front and center, 0 to 60 in around 3.5 seconds for the Wagoneer S, instant torque for the Recon, and software-driven driving modes that adapt to snow, sand, mud, or rocks. Jeep isn't asking drivers to give anything up by going electric. They're framing it as getting more capability, more technology, more freedom. And if they execute that pitch correctly, it flips the EV conversation from compromise to opportunity. Of course, challenges remain. Pricing will be critical. Jeep has to balance premium positioning with accessibility, especially as economic uncertainty hits consumers. Then there's reliability. Jeep's reputation hasn't always been spotless when it comes to dependability, and the EV era won't forgive breakdowns or tech glitches. And let's not ignore competition. Tesla, Ford, GM, Rivian, and even upstarts from China are racing just as fast. One misstep, one delay, and Jeep could lose the momentum it just created. But here's the bottom line. Jeep has officially changed the game. They've proven they're not just hanging on to their heritage, they're reinventing it for the future. The Recon, the Wagoneer S, and the broader electrification roadmap show that Jeep is ready to shock the world, literally and figuratively. The auto industry is watching, competitors are scrambling, and consumers are buzzing. Jeep has thrown down the gauntlet, and now the question is who's going to pick it up? And one thing is crystal clear, the road ahead for Jeep is electric, and the auto market will never be the same again.